Hello? Okay, this is working. If you look at the title and you notice the shift from just English language proficiency to English language literacy, the difference between just proficiency and literacy is something I'm going to try to get across in the next few minutes, 30 minutes. Now, if I really want to do this, I think I need about 5 days, 5 full days, because language is complex. It is not just a matter of memorizing a few phrases. It's how the brain works in language. And for those people who ask whether a second language will interfere with the learning of the first language, in acquisition, probably yes. But in literacy, the brain will actually create 2 different paths for the language. All right, I'm ready? PowerPoint? Here's the context of the problem. If we have 1,000 teachers and the teachers are teaching the same grade level, how can we ensure that all the students will reach the same learning, the same level, the same skills? But we need to take into account that no 2 students will ever be the same, because children and students and human beings are unique. So it's impossible to say, this is how you should teach the students, because every human being is different. But what is even compounding the problem is that no 2 teachers are the same. Each teacher is unique with different experiences, different background, different levels. So how can we get there? No training is going to make a robot. We are human beings. We learn differently, different levels, different speeds and paces. So let's still look at the problem now from the student side. Let's take student A or B, and the student is sitting in the classroom for a whole week, 5 days a week. The bell rings on day 1. Oops. The bell rings on day 1. The student is in the classroom, math period. 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, pounding math. Then the bell rings again, and the next period is English. So in the English period, we want the student to concentrate on us, but for the past 45 minutes, somebody was focusing on math. Then the bell will ring again, and then there's an Arabic period, and the student still needs to shift. So we're asking students to shift their thinking every 45, 50 minutes, an hour, 5 times a day. And I found that in some schools they have 8 periods a day, so the student is doing that 8 times a day, 5 days a week, homework in the afternoon, and we expect them to build knowledge and build concept where we interrupt every 45 minutes. Now, we are unable to make a change, because once there is a model, it's very difficult to break the model and say, from now on, we're going to do this. It takes time. How can we move in a faster way? So, what is happening every period? Information, information, information. Information is really not knowledge. It's information. What is the difference between information and knowledge? Come on, clicker. Click. Battery? Okay. Knowledge is the ability to act on information and convert it to something meaningful and useful. Would you say this is a good definition? Huh? If I take information, microphone, okay, so what? It's information. But how do I convert it to knowledge to make it meaningful is when it becomes knowledge. So how does that apply? Sorry. Okay. So let's look at information. How do we receive information? I'm sorry. Information comes into us via hearing it, seeing it, and more recently in human history, let's say, I don't know, 10,000 years, we started to write and read. So the information usually comes, that was too fast. You gave away the surprise, okay. So information comes in by us human beings seeing the information, hearing the information, and more recently, reading the information. But the information has to be processed in our brains. The brain is always acting upon information. For example, when you see information or hear information, you might compare it. You might contrast it. You might find a pattern. Let's look at pattern. Red, blue, green. Red, blue. Why did you do that? That's not information. That's your brain acting on information, and it becomes knowledge. So as your brain processes information, it converts it to knowledge. Now, one click, please. Okay. As we start to grow or become more sophisticated, our processing ability starts to move up. For example, we can now find the effect of a cause, which is higher level thinking, or refer something to something which is higher level, and we can even move higher by prediction. And when you reach what is called critical thinking, everybody likes to use the word critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is the ability of our human minds to process information by reasoning, by finding flaws. So this is higher level. And today, as we move along in the next few minutes, I will attempt to give some examples of how we can do this in English language at very low levels and move it up. Now, the human body can physically do only a few things. We can talk. That is one of the first things we learn to do. So when our brain takes information and processes it, how do we let other people know? We talk. Or we can demonstrate. Move something. If I want to drink, or if I want you to go there. So that's the second thing. The third thing is that we provide an image. I mean, in prehistory, and even in Saudi Arabia, there are places where early humans made sketches and drawings on the rock to convey what they're thinking. And finally, the last one, which is only recent history, is the ability to convert our thoughts to code called writing. But there is no writing without the brain working. There is no talking without the brain working. I mean, there is talking, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. Now, a human being starts to learn when the response causes a change in an object or another human being. Let's look at this very carefully. What is the paradigm shift that we're talking about? The first idea is tell the kids what they need to know or information. Teach. But the actual learning happens when what I do as a learner causes a change or a movement or something different in a listener or in an object. So let's take, for example, if you're learning how to use a new instrument. You keep pressing it, touching it, like a new program or a new car. But once you take an action and it results in something changing or happening in a human being or an object, the brain converts it to learning or knowledge. And trying to say this, to help our children learn, what should we do as learning designers? As the learning designers, we will want to learn how to convert that information into knowledge by, we take new information. It has to be new information. And then we as teachers design a response that forces the mind to process the information in a certain way. So what is a learning designer? I didn't put it there, but I'm going to say it now. Albert Einstein said a very long time ago, I don't teach. I create situations in which people learn. So he was a learning designer. But how did he come there? He became a learner himself. So when I say creating learning designers, I'm not only talking about the teachers, I'm talking about the students, because they have to continue learning till the day they die. That's how we're going to survive in the 21st century. So what is the difference then in a classroom? We're going to take that 5 periods a day, 6 periods a day, 5 days a week. How do we know, or how do we design each period so that the student will learn? There is a difference between is learning and have learned. Is learning will depend on who the student is and who the teacher is. We cannot have one model, one method that will work for everybody and for everything to be learned. But the have learned has to be the same for us all. We have to show classically, traditionally, that they have learned. So in a 45-minute period, there will be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes is learning. But the end of the is learning should be have learned. And what we are doing at the Center for English Language is we're working on the have learned. And we believe that if the students and the teachers can see what a have learned looks like, then they can use their own resources, their own innovations to get the student to the have learned part. So if you really know what the destination or what the destination is, you probably can figure out how to get there. Now, okay, so let's stop here. This is the first part of the modular learning design to fit the system that we already have. We have periods every day, and we want to show that they've learned. What we are doing together now is designing what we are calling a focal point or a have learned design that would work on any new information within that category and would work with any book, because a have learned should be something that you can use with anything, not just this particular book, or else then it's not a learning. Then we take all of them together and we create a performance task, which I will show you some examples of as well. But we live in a world of measurement, don't we? So what we're going to do is we're going to convert all of these into a framework design so that the students are taking what is called the classical test, but in a new way. And when we have tried this, students are starting to say, I don't need to study for the exam tomorrow. I know what to do. And you will see it now. So we're going to take the international standardized exam and use it to benchmark what we're doing to give evidence that it is working. Whereas the first 4 at the top is how you do the is learning. So our teacher here might do it in a different way than I am doing it with different students, but we will all get to the focal point. And we have now over 350 people who have started to work on those designs, and we're following up every day. So can we go back, please? So is learning is what the teacher does. But to reach that point, you have to work from the bottom up. Where are we going in order to create the is learning? Does that make sense? Okay, next one. Now, the focal point shows what each student is doing by the end of the 40 minutes. It is a design that works not as an assessment and a test only. Oh, new batteries. Okay. There used to be two types of tests, formative and summative. Assessment of learning, assessment for learning. But this element is extra because it is assessment as learning. It does not It's not an inspection or a police work, let me see what you can do. The assessment itself helps the student continue learning. So that's the design we're going for. The performance joins all the periods because, honestly, in real life, there is no listening test by itself or a speaking test by itself. If you want to reach competency, you need to be able to use all of them together. So this becomes more like, at the end of the module, what can the student do? And I will give examples of those as well. Okay, let's look at some classical designs. Samples of the classical design, multiple choice. It doesn't let your brain work. I mean, yes, there are some students who might want to think of an answer, but most will choose an answer. Low-level thinking. Fill in the blanks. Well, it worked. I don't know why. He puts it in, it works. The last word is the answer. And true or false. 50% chance of getting it right. The question for me, when we were assessing and evaluating the assessments, is what did the student learn in order for us to give a true or false? We need to connect them. It is not just oh, let's put this. Why are we putting it? What is it looking for? So I'm going to give some examples. The idea of the focal point, it needs to show how I am thinking to get the answer, rather than what is the answer. It ain't working. Okay. So let's do this together. In the traditional question and answer, you might say something like, the brang thrang up the hill. Can you remember that? The brang thrang up the hill. Okay. Who thrang up the hill? The brang. What did the brang do? Thrang up the hill. Okay. But I still don't understand. I'm doing mechanical answer, and this is usually what is happening in a lot of the comprehension. We want to convert information into knowledge. So here's the question. We have the following words: who, what, when, where, how, action for each underlined part. We, what comes to your mind? Who? I wish this would work. Let me try from here. Okay. Who will build? Action. A new birdhouse. We'll build what? See how the brain works? We'll build what? A new birdhouse. How? So whenever you're listening and reading in any language, not just English, your brain is converting the details into thoughts. And these words exist in every language: who, when, where, etc. Let's look at the second one. Taylor and her friends. Who? Watched. Action. The basket. What? Okay. So all English language sentences are built up of those details, not of those words. There's a difference between just the word and the detail. The detail is converted into thought that is meaningful. The basket was empty in a few days. Many teachers, when they look at the word empty, they say how. But it's not true. The basket was what? Click. All right. So this is an example of the brain converting information into knowledge. And it does that in every language. The only difference is that the order is different and the code is different. But all the languages have the following details: who, what, action, how, where, when. Click, please. Okay. Now, the next level is not detail. If you remember, the grammar book said a sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. Well, okay, what is a complete thought? Here's a complete thought. You look at the sentence, you don't see the words, you don't see the details, you see the thought expressed. So, for example, we're going to have some examples. Let's go to number 7. This ice cream is delicious. Your brain says, opinion. If we say, careful, you're going to fall, we're saying prediction. Now, I'm going to give you a little trick for the TOEFL and the IELTS. Every question that you read in the TOEFL and IELTS is based on thought or detail. If it's only based on detail, it's low level. If it's based on thought, it's higher level. So read the question. For example, what made Thomas trip? What's the thought? What made Thomas trip? Cause. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the cause. What made Thomas trip is looking for the cause of the effect. We know the effect is he tripped. So in the TOEFL test and in the IELTS test, don't waste time reading the words. You won't get it. Read the question and say, it's looking for an opinion. It's easier now for your brain to scan the text and to look for an opinion. I'm looking for a cause of Thomas tripping. My eyes scan and I find the cause. So what should we be learning in the classroom? How to find the cause, how to find the opinion. How do the words come together to create that thought? Next one, please. Now, to show how we do new models that show how you're thinking, instead of filling in the blank with the correct word, let me see if you can conceptualize the word first. Because when I ask, okay, I learned a word, what can I do with it? Make a sentence. Well, I just learned the word. How can I make a sentence? I need a concept of the word. So here are some examples. These are new designs that you probably haven't seen before. Cup. Where? In the kitchen. Not the kitchen. In the kitchen. All right? Because the kitchen is what? In the kitchen is where? Or tree. Where? In the garden. Okay. Why? Why? Just details, not sentences. Why? Two. We need to start with two to make it a why, right? To make it more beautiful. All right? To give more oxygen. All right? To hide from the neighbors. All right? Okay. So let's look at now how we can raise the level of the vocabulary. Read the text. For each word in red, find one sentence or example and write it on the line. It is morning. My dad and mom are in the kitchen. Dad is drinking coffee. He looks out of the window. He sees a bird. So cup. Which sentence infers cup? Sentence. So what's the level of the processing here? Inference. It's no longer low level. We pushed it up. So we have had fill in the blanks from grade 1 to grade 12. It is time to start looking at designs that activate the brain rather than choose an answer to show the teacher to get a grade. We can still grade this, so we can satisfy the system of putting a grade to something. Now, you can repeat that. You just put new words and new text. But the brain now knows that it is looking for an inference. It's trying to infer what it's doing. So here's what we do. Okay, tree, he sees a bird. So look at the brain at which level it's thinking. Now, this is the traditional true or false, right? There is a 50% chance of getting it right. The question is, what did we learn in order for the teacher to give me true or false? Well, let's say we learn details. On Sunday, Tom gets up at 10 a.m., blah, 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 okay, true or false, true or false, true or false. What we are going to ask the students to do is to show us how they are getting the answer. So if you read the text, you find the details, then you go to the sentence, you find the details. If the details in the sentence are the same as all the details in the sentence before, true. If one detail is different, false. Now, the same tool, we can change it to a higher level. We're looking in the sentence for a cause or effect. If the cause in number 1 is different from the cause in the text, false. So now we have traceability. We can say, here's the assessment, I can trace it to where it was learned. We call this a tool, and now we call it visible thinking. So when we manipulate, change, and find reasoning flaws or challenge conclusions, we are thinking critically. Let's look at critical thinking at a lower level. Text. The sky was clear today, so I tripped. You agree? The sky was clear, so I tripped. There is a flaw in the reasoning. So if I was learning how to find cause and effect, and I find them, that's comprehension. If I can say why it is wrong, that's critical thinking. Why is this wrong? Well, tripping is not caused by a clear sky. It could be caused by a bright sun, but not by a clear sky. So no answer is perfect, but the ability to reason is critical thinking. There is a cabbage patch in the city next to my building. That's a fact, right? We can call this a farming city, generalization. Yesterday, one of the young men was speaking about rumors. Rumors is something that you see a small fact and you generalize from it. But it's not true. So we can say here that this generalization based on this one single fact is wrong. There isn't enough information. So yes, we can reach critical thinking, but critical thinking design should not be, here's the question, A, B, C, D, choose an answer. It should show how the process is working. Any exam, oh boy, okay, some people are gonna find this a little strange. Any exam that you need to study for is the wrong exam. Because if you study for it, it means that you did not learn. It means that you're trying to remember information. So you cannot study for an IELTS, you cannot study for a TOEFL, and you cannot study for a modular learning design system. You need to learn it, and once you can do it, I'm going to give you something new and see if you can do it. Not repeat the same text. So the MLD Performance Task Tool shows the competence and the visible thinking, if you notice. Not just here's the answer, but how are you thinking to get the answer. It has three more layers, but we don't have time. It's short, as I told you, and I need to stop in a few minutes. So let's look at some of the examples of performance ability after some periods of learning for lower level. Look at the picture. Say at least 5 2 to 4 word details for each of the 2 questions that the teacher will show you. So the teacher shows the student what, where. And you need to look at the picture and generate pots and pans on a stove, restaurant kitchen in a hotel, fresh vegetables in a kitchen. All those words come from the book. The pictures are from the same topic, but if I want to try it again, I will get a new picture if you can still generate details. So this is what Mr. Salim yesterday was saying about that he started to do it in the classroom, and all the kids are participating because to make motivation, it has to be meaningful. If I keep trying and nothing is working and I'm guessing whether the test is right or wrong, I am going to be very demotivated. Here is a higher level. Again, same idea, picture, and the teacher says, I want a sentence that is an opinion for the picture. Not make a sentence with the past participle, or make a sentence with the helping verb to be. But real language is opinion, sequence, etc. So the student looked at the picture and said, she is a great cook. Is that a fact or an opinion? Opinion. How about, she had already read the recipe before, on her laptop. That's a sequence. That's why we're learning the past perfect. We're not learning the past perfect to fill in the blanks. We're learning it to make sequences. Now, on the higher level, and this is the highest, We're going to give a diagram or a chart, depending on the level of the students, of course, and we're saying, look at the picture, make and give a report that is between 6 and 8 sentences. Those are criteria that we can change later. Look at the chart, and she starts. Boys and girls start to grow taller quickly at different ages. Is this pre-prepared or on the spot? No pre-prepared. Then it's not a competency challenge. So this is what we're going to give you in the next few weeks, months, until next year. This will be the competency challenge. You don't have time. You're going to look at a picture, you're going to turn around, and you're going to talk. But we're going to give you these designs before, and we hope that you will be part of the design making. No one person has everything. No 5 people have everything. The teacher in the classroom sometimes gets an idea that we can spend months and not get, but they can get it in one instant. So, to end, we're looking at designing learning with the precision of an engineer, but with the creativity of an artist. And that concludes my talk for today. Thank you very much. No questions. All right, our next, yes.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
So when we're talking about this high level of teaching the students, like the research critical thinking method, do we put into consideration the language level of our students?
Yes, for sure. We will make designs for grade 4 for people who only know 10 words, but critical thinking.
How would they be able to express themselves?
That's the question that I would like to say. I walked on very dangerous ground today in 30 minutes. What I really need is 5 days of 6 hours each to show you all the models. Let me repeat. Grade 4, all right? And the students only know 10 words. We can create a design to show critical thinking. All right? Now, the teachers are very busy and very under pressure. So what we're doing together is we're creating those designs. Then we will give the development sessions for the whole kingdom. So we are creating, like, if you're working with us, you become a pivot person. You know the whole system. It's your job to help another 10 or 50 or 100. Okay? And who knows? The design we give you, you might improve it to be a better design. So this is what we mean when we say, involve everybody in the system, but give them room for innovation and creativity. It's not, you must do this, but how do you develop this? Okay? Yes? But you just saw, I kept true or false, didn't I? Good, I kept it. But we add one extra layer to it, right? We keep the fill in the blank. But we cannot bring something new and tell 35,000 teachers, change tomorrow. We're starting with what we've got, and then we move it up, right? So no, we're not going to meddle with the classroom period, with the assessment, but we're going to add the next layer to say, how can we make this so that it shows me how the student is thinking to get the answer? Okay? Thanks. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome our student guests who will speak about their experiences of learning English through alternative methods. Now, why are we saying this? If you remember in my short presentation, I said when you learn, you're usually acting upon something external that will change because of what you've done, and learning happens. But I'm not going to tell you. Let the students tell you how they learned, not through the classical classroom method. So, representing the ladies, we have Ms. Amal Al-Odan, and the students, Ms. Rana Al-Haider, Ms. Maha Al-Mari. Would you please step up here, please? And for the boys, or the gentlemen, we have their teacher, Mr. Mohammed Abu Raja. Mr. Mohammed Abu Raja? All right. Mr. Ahmed Dagiri and Mr. Yahya Dagiri.
I think we will start with the student.
No. We did that. They will all sit and then each one in turn.
Which one?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we have, when the second session is, we will
No, this is not the talk show. This is the alternative method. All right? Okay. Mr. Who's supposed to start this? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Mahal Maari. I'm from 31st Secondary School. I'm in third year scientific section.
Good morning. I'm Rana Al-Hadi from 34th Secondary School, third year scientific section.
So first of all, I would like to welcome all of you, and I would like to say that we are... Okay. First of all, I would like to welcome all the guests, and I would like to say that we are very proud and honored to be here. It's such an extraordinary experience for us. So we are all here today to share our experiences in our journey in learning English language. For my experience, I started to know about the English language when I was a little girl through watching kids' TV shows and kids' movies. But most of them had Arabic subtitles, and I only got to learn a few words. But I was so in love with the language and so in love with the idea that there are people in other places that get to communicate with each other in a different language. And I told myself, I want to learn this language one day. And when I got a little bit older, I switched it from watching kids' TV shows and kids' movies to YouTube. And I started watching videos, thank you, just like any other kid, to have fun and spend my free time. But I came across some English videos, and they were very interesting for me, and I told myself, why not learn the language this way? So I started watching more and more videos, but I faced a difficulty at the beginning, and it was that they were talking pretty fast. You know, they're native speakers. So they were talking pretty fast, and I didn't get to understand what they were saying. But I didn't let that put me down, and I continued to watch more and more videos. I got to learn new words and how to form simple phrases and how to run a simple conversation with somebody else. As most of you know, YouTube is a big platform. There are people from all around the world that get to upload videos. And for me as a child, that was very fascinating. It was like traveling and meeting new friends and getting to know their stories and their experiences. And also, I got to communicate with them through the comment section on YouTube. But all of that, I learned it behind a screen. I need to put it in work, in real life. So I went to my family and I told them, from now on, we're speaking English in this household. At first, they were very surprised because I didn't take English as a curriculum in my school because I studied in a public school. But I told them that I learned some basics, some words, and I really want to practice. So luckily, they were very supportive, and they started talking to me in English at home. Even when I used to go to shopping or restaurants or bookstores, I used to talk to the workers in English. And most of them, English wasn't their first language, so it was okay to make mistakes. Also, I was a child, and as a child, you really don't care, you know, you just, even if you embarrass yourself, you're gonna forget about it in the next second. So that wasn't a big problem for me as a child. Also, one of my good friends, she used to go to an international school, and she was very fluent in English, even though she was younger than me. And I've always told myself, I want to be just like her. And when I got to learn some basics, I talked to her because I used to spend most of my weekends with her. I told her that from now on, we're speaking English. So she was very happy and very motivating, and I got to make a lot of progress with her. So now, fast forward 6th grade, I was very excited because I'll take English as a curriculum for the first time ever. But from the very first English class, I was a little bit sad and devastated because when I looked through the textbooks, all I saw was, simple words, simple phrases, and I knew all of these things before, so I knew that the curriculum isn't going to support me very well. So I told myself that I need to put a little bit more work and I need to develop myself. So there is an important thing that I want to mention that helped me a lot in improving myself is you have to know what type of learner you are. So there are people who are visual. They get to learn what they see. Some people are auditory, just like me. I learn more by listening. So I took this as my strength point. I worked hard on it and I worked my way up from there. You just know what is your strength point, you work on it, you develop yourself on it, and also develop other skills using this strength point that you have.
Can I stand up? One of the reasons that made me love English is my family. My parents used to make us watch movies every weekend, something suitable for our age, like Disney movies. It was my favorite channel on TV. And when I was 8 years old, we were in Paris for vacation. One day, we went to my lovely and my favorite place, Disneyland. One day, when we go there, while my brothers were playing, I went with my mom and my sister to the boutique. There I found my lovely, elegant princess dress, which was one of my dreams to get it. I wore it and I started dancing and singing like Cinderella and moving round and round. At that time, my mom and my sister were looking for some souvenirs in the boutique. And I thought I was lost because I couldn't see them. And I started crying. And I went to the salesman, and I couldn't speak English, but I tried to speak using Cinderella sayings. And he was laughing and took me to my mom. So it was 5 minutes lost, made me thinking seriously how important learning English. So it was a motivation for me. Also, traveling improves my language as my dad always tries to push me talking with foreigners. For example, in the supermarket, buying tickets, something we needed in daily life as a tourist. These things when I was young, but now I listen to the songs and watch movies a lot, and I will not forget the support from my family and my teachers. Also, my mom was an English teacher. Those days, I noticed my mother is admiring and happiness with her excellent student, and I decided to imitate them. And I said, one day, I will make my teacher proud of me, like my mom proud of her excellent student. But my mom is not the main reason. And we were very lucky to have a supportive teacher, Teacher Amal Al-Udan, and she encouraged us to participate in an English poster competition. It was about developing education in Saudi Arabia for our 2030 vision.
So through this experience, we got to discuss our thoughts and our ideas with our teacher in English. And also in the day of the competition, we got to speak with other students, other teachers and supervisors in English. So this helped a lot in breaking the fear. When you learn a new language, the first thing that scares you is, am I gonna make a mistake? People are gonna laugh at me. I'm very nervous. So when you do that, you practice what you learned, and you stand in front of people. This will help you a lot. Even if you make mistakes, it's okay. I mean, if you make a mistake once, you're not going to make it twice.
Also, I had TEDx about effective people like Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Adwa Dakhil. Adwa, she is a Saudi entrepreneur and she works in the stock market. I shared their success stories because I was very inspired by it. And from that time, I'm thinking and wishing to be like them. So I improved my language by seeing more and more movies and listening to the songs and searching for more knowledge. And I'm so happy to be here today. And I'm so happy to be here today in this talk show, in this special place with the special people. If we compare between the public and the private school, we will find the private school have more textbooks, more practice, so we need in the public school improve ourselves by ourselves. Learning policy is not enough for nowadays. Before 15 years, the students and their parents don't aware the importance of learning English, but now they want to learn because they really need it. And because wherever you go, the first question is, do you speak English?
And also, from our TEDx experience, when you search in your native language, let's say Arabic, you can do a scan reading, and you get to take the information that you want. But when you learn a new language, it will be a little bit harder for you to do the scan reading because there are few words that you don't understand what they actually mean. So when, let's say, you search more and prepare for a TEDx or a competition or whatever, you're gonna learn a very important skill, which is knowing the meaning of the word by the context. So by this, you will not need to use dictionaries. You will save time and effort, and it will help you, inshallah, in your future studies and also in your future job. Thank you so much for listening.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yahya Ahmed. I am from the Gharir Secondary School. I am exactly at the 6th level.
Right, I'm Mohammed Ghariri from the same school, and that's it. That's all.
My name is Muhammad Abu Rajih. I'm an English teacher, and we are from the Gharir Secondary School near to Santa, at the border or the south border of Saudi Arabia. And maybe we have special conditions over there, but anyway, I think we can overcome some problems which we have. And really, I think that Yahya or either Ahmed and other students who are over there have that degree of proficiency or fluency in talking like that. They will talk about their experience in learning English. And right now, I'm hand over this mic to Mr. Yahya. Please talk about you.
All right, first of all, I began loving the English language at a very early age. So I used to play a lot of video games when I was still little, but I never understood a single word of what I was seeing at the screen. But I still was passionate about it. I would tell myself someday I'd love to learn these words or what these characters are saying. And thankfully, I had a good father and uncle who are so my father used to watch a lot of movies, and I would watch these movies with him. And I would wonder what these people were saying. So I still had another reason for learning English. And my uncle would also, I would watch him play games, and I would tell myself, yeah, I would love to understand it. And he was actually good at speaking English. I would hear him listen and say some words and all that kind of things. And I was excited when I always saw him speaking English and all that. So I began with learning where I was learning the basics. First of all, it was just the letters, and thankfully they were kind of hard at the beginning. But I still tried my best until thankfully I learned the letters. I learned how to speak them, and I learned how to say them and memorize them. But after that, at this point, I was still trying my best to learn the language. I just know the basics, yes, no, hello, and all these. I didn't know how to speak it fluently. I had no one to speak to, actually. And I was still at the elementary school, so there was no English books at that time. So when I got into intermediate school, I actually got myself an actual good gaming system, and that had internet connection and all that. And I started playing online with random people. So with these people, I met this person called Jacob. So he's a dear friend of mine. He helped me a lot. I would go up to him and I would try my best to speak. I would just say hello, and I just didn't know what to say after that. But he would actually talk to me back, he actually helped me. And I would ask him what to say and stuff, and he would actually tell me just say this and this and this and that. And Through time, like through actually speaking with him almost every single day. I would play with him every single day, and through time, I would actually start speaking better and better. And thankfully, at some point, when I reached the secondary school, I had some level of some English expertise. Well, it wasn't. Well, it wasn't just video games. It was there was also movies. There was also my family. My family, thankfully, they were very supportive of me, and I'm really glad for the support. And they actually helped me. They brought me some kind of dictionaries and books, and thankfully, they helped me a lot also. Because at that point, I knew how to read I knew how to read English by myself. That was from elementary school. Like I knew how to read. I didn't know how to write. Writing, I learned it in intermediate school, and what's it called? And speaking, I learned it with Jacob, my friend. So after a while, I started mastering the language. Like I found myself at a very good level of speaking the language. And when I reached secondary school, I knew how to speak it, I knew how to write it, but I was ready. I was basically I knew how to speak it very goodly. It wasn't like fluently. It was still kind of broken up a little, but I still tried my best. I was still passionate about it. I was very passionate about the language. I would still try my best with the teachers. The teachers actually helped me, thankfully. I would remember Ustad Sami, Yasser, and Muhammad, and Abu Rajah. They actually helped me speak the language more fluently. And when I reached their classes, I mean, after I was done with their classes, I reached this point in time where I can actually speak the language more freely and fluently. I actually find more freedom speaking English than speaking Arabic at this point, which is kind of funny. But it's still very nice. And I think that's basically it. One more thing I had to add. Learning English doesn't really happen on its own. You have to be passionate about it. It needs passion, it needs work, it needs time. Some people don't have the time, some people don't have the passion, some people aren't motivated. We need to motivate our students more. They need motivation. They need a reason. Because without the English language, they'll be lost in this world. So because the English language is the key to the whole world. I mean, the whole world is the main language of the whole world. So they need the motivation, they need the passion, they need the time to learn this language. Without English, they'll be lost. And colleges, universities, most of them use the English language. So that's really it. They need motivation and all that. And thank you very much for having me here. And thank you, Mr. Abu Rajah, for giving me the chance of being here. I am very grateful to all of you for listening to me.
Hello, everyone. Hope you all are having a very, very nice day. About my journey at learning English, I don't think it was any different than most of you. I learned by... All right, sorry. I learned by watching movies, by watching TV shows, which is not really different from most people here. I mean, there's people who had different ways, but that was my way, which is, I think, well known, and I had a fiction over a lot of people. So I'm just going to cut straight away to the part, which I'll talk about the accent. And speaking of accents, I mean, people who have been on stage today and yesterday were absolutely great, and they had the great accents. But for me, and I think Yahya and anyone who has the same interests as us, like playing video games, for example. I play a lot of online video games. I go find random teammate, and we start communicating. And sometimes, it is a limited conversation. Sometimes it goes a bit deep. Until that point, ask you where you're from, and you're going to get that question, how did you get the accent? I think, a lot of us does get that question. So, well, here we are. I think getting an accent wasn't really difficult, but it took a bit of time. But it wasn't a long time. It wasn't a short time. It's easy. Easy. Let's put it that way. It's very simple. So I would just go ahead, watch TV show, watch, for example, Sherlock. Let's say, I'll hear words I already do know. Can't tell the difference between a British accent and American accent. And the good thing about TV shows is the script is going to certain context. So some words going to be repeated, and they're going to make it easier to memorize. So memorizing words, that's first thing, and then using it in video games. I think that's all. I don't know. I don't know if I have much to add really, but I mean it's you know, it does depend on two skills: listening and speaking. Practice is very useful. I remember I bought my VC like 7 months ago, and I wasn't this good, and I'm not at the perfect point. I still have a long way to go. So with practice I will get there. It was very short speech, but thank you very much for listening.
Welcome again. Okay. Welcome again. Really, I have this honor to be in front of you, and I wish that we'll introduce something beneficial for all students in Saudi Arabia. I think just a teacher right here, and I will talk about my experience, how I deal with my students to let them motivated and also let them have the passion to learn English, either inside school or outside school. You know, the most important thing for the teacher is to follow the following rule, which I will tell. That's my opinion. The more you change your teaching methods, I think the more fluent students you will have. That's my idea. I think that in many times I have changed my teaching methods. I felt that by myself, I'm refreshed, and I think I like this subject, and I wish that, I hope that that my students also love my subject, and in this way, I should make a good relation with my students. I should know their needs, and also I should be a motivated teacher, and I should also to let them excited all over this class. You know that we have some pressure inside the class, but anyway, if you prepare well before your lesson, and also if you just try to explain the thoughts or the ideas in your lesson in different ways, for example, I think that students will have great fun with you, and also you will be satisfied for the results which you have achieved. And really, I think that my ways are different. I will talk about just a few of them. Anyway, I'm just using, for example, some mobile applications like Plickers. Also, for example, Quizpedia. And sometimes I arrange, for example, by Quiz Creator, for example, to send it to the students on their mobiles. And I ask them to answer the questions in this virtual application within, for example, 3 minutes like that. And he will give me a copy for his job, and then I will also encourage him if he had great done, and also I will correct some mistakes. And this is where what I can say. This is just a special thing which I have for some students who I think they are motivated. Also, another one, inside the class, paper test, for example, I think is just a traditional way. And sometimes that I found some of my students are getting boring of this old way, and also they asking me to do something new. So sometimes I did paperwork, but it will be, for example, like matching letters to form words which are relating to the subject. And also sometimes I'm giving them crosswords, and also I'm practicing something like similar to Qiyas. I know, for example, multi-choices A, B, C, D, and inside the class, I'm correcting those paper in, you know, in a great, or I can't say that, that's my opinion, in a great way. And really, I felt that my students are happy with these new things. And also, I'm directing, for example, Ahmed and Yahya to For example, Ahmed, he has just a little bit about cooking, and I sent for him many YouTube websites to let him also increase his knowledge about cooking. And really, he also is interested in series or watching movies, and he has some degrees. Like that, I'm just following him for a while, and he told me that he started with the Arabic subtitles. After that, he transferred to English one, and the last one, he is watching that TV or that movies without subtitles. And really, sometimes I'm practicing with him some, you know, some cooking. I just little information about that. But anyway, I send him many YouTube websites to let him know. As well for Yahya, he's well done in American accent, and I'm just try to let him practice that. I'm very proud that I have like those students, and I'm also at last I'm very thankful to my Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also for the people who give me this chance to come here, and especially for all those who are responsible for this program, and especially for my friend Mr. Abdullah Al-Badri. I'm thanking him for this great chance, and really I'm express about me my feelings of gratitude, and also maybe I take too much time at that. I will thank you again for listening to me, and excuse me maybe some hesitation in my speech. Anyway, this I think a normal process and like that. So thank you again, and goodbye.
Aren't they wonderful? Our countries have a great future, and you can see them in front of you. And now we have our star moderator and our star questioner who will come up here. Please give a hand to Mr. Brandon Mitchell, who will be asking them questions and asking some of the audience questions to see how did they learn. So the motivation came from within. You cannot motivate a person, you can create situations. Mr. Brandon, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Eli. Good morning again, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful afternoon yesterday and this morning. As Mr. Muhammad said, as he was summing up when he was speaking, he's very proud of his students, and I can see why. We've got 4 wonderful students up here, and I'm sure many of you have some wonderful students in your classes. But we want to learn some more from these great students, to see and learn from them, so you can see perhaps how you can further motivate your students. Now, if we look at the question of motivation, you know, we're interested to know how you think that more Saudi students can get motivation like you have. We've seen through YouTube, through various interests, through video games. What do you think can further motivate students? If we start with you, please, Miss Rama.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you think more students can be motivated? What can be done to help motivate students?
You mean like reading?
Yes, your opinion, whatever you think.
Reading like short stories, listening to the songs, watch movies, and searching for more knowledge.
Searching for more knowledge. So we've got some movies, we've got some things around stories, and we've got some things online. Mr. Ahmed, what do you think?
What, motivation?
Yeah, how can students be more motivated? What can be done to motivate them?
Look, I think it does depend from person to another, and it does depend on his personality and what he's interested in. But well, most people is probably motivated about the, what was it? I'm kind of forgetting it. College, yeah. I'm motivated to learn English by college. You know, in the end, it does depend on them, as you know, them in particular. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. So to provide some maybe college motivation or work motivation, Mr. Yahya, what about you? What do you think can be done to motivate your classmates more?
Well, like Ahmed said, it depends from person to person. First of all, it depends on their history with English and what they thrive to be when they grow up. First of all, like let's say some kid really like motivation. He really loves chemistry, so he loves chemistry. He wants to learn more about chemistry. But when he's done with secondary school and all of that, he wants to learn more about the subject. Is he gonna stay? Is he gonna stick with Arabic forever? No. When he travels outside to learn more about the subject, he's gonna need to learn English. He needs to learn the language to like know how to learn about this subject more and more. Because the subject is originally, not really originally, but it's mostly when you study outside for better education, you're gonna need the language to know it. So motivation really depends on the student and what they thrive to be, and what they want to be in the future. That's really how I see it.
Yeah, excellent. So perhaps an idea there that has been presented. If you know what your students' motivations are, if they have motivations for further study, perhaps work-wise, that can be a motivation, has been discussed there. And Ms. Maha.
So I believe that you should know what are your interests, what makes you have fun, because I believe in learning by having fun. For me, as I said, I really enjoyed watching YouTube and videos of others, you know, talking about their experiences and their stories. So through this, I got to learn something very important. And also a friend of mine, she's in love with reading. She likes to read a lot of books. So she told me that she, you know, put more work to learn the English learn the English language by reading more and more. So I believe that you should know what interests you the most, and you should work on it, work more on it.
Yeah, excellent. So there you've got self-interest. As we heard Mr. Muhammad, the fantastic teacher up here, he said that he really knows his students. He knows who they are and what they want and what their strengths are, and he's able to help his students like that. If we stay with you, Miss Maha, does everybody in your class speak English as well as you?
Actually, not everyone.
Not everyone. Now,
Yes.
The next question is, so it's quite easy for you, but then quite difficult for some of the other students, yes?
Exactly,
So
yes.
there we've got that mixed class, yes?
Yes.
So you, as a strong student, how do you help some of the weaker students in the class?
So there's a technique I believe most of the teachers do, is divide us into groups. And each group has, let's say, an excellent student, and maybe it's not a weak student, but you know, they're not really good at English, and someone who has, you know, enough knowledge. And we try to work with each other, speak with each other, and just try to motivate them, because most of them are scared. They're very scared to stand in front of other girls, let's say in my class, and talk, because they feel that we're gonna laugh at them. So we need to encourage them that it's okay, just try, stand up and say what you have, and it's okay to make mistakes. Just jump out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself.
Fantastic. So we've got the strongest students working with some of the students that perhaps aren't as strong. Mr. Muhammad, sir, I don't think all the students in your class, but maybe they are as strong in English as Mr. Ahmed and Mr. Yahya are. Is that correct? Do you have mixed levels?
Should, yes, of course, I have mixed levels in my students.
How many students are in this class here?
You mean over there in my school?
Yes, sir, in Jazan, sir.
About 40, 35, like that.
Okay, so how do you deal with mixed students? Mixed
The
levels.
best way is to divide them into groups, okay? And I will make a leader and a speaker, and also I will manage, to choose different levels of students with a good one. And I'll tell him that you should teach them, for example, and also I will, at the final of the class like that, I will pick up anyone. And your marks, for example, it will be due to that person who is answering. And I think this make the students who is good try all his best to make him, to make his classmate understand the idea in a perfect way, because he will represent him. And the marks, for example, I'm just making that a kind of motivation for them. And it is not a punishment like what some people think. I think marks, it has two sides. It can be a punishment, and also it can be a reward. And if your student make a mistake, this is, I think, not all students deserve to be punished, okay? And I think you have to, your role is to encourage him and correct his mistake. And if he fulfill this mission, he deserves the mark. If he correct his mistake, and also he correct for others, I think he deserves to get that mark. And in a way, I think that many of our students need the teacher to understand their needs. If you just deal with your students in a perfect way and understand understand his needs, you will be successful with him. That's what I think about that.
Yeah, excellent. And I'm sure what Mr. Eli presented on this morning with the MLD will assist everybody as you get to learn that system in dealing with mixed level classes and the larger level classes to help engage your students and get more student talk time. Now, one thing here, if anybody has any questions for the students while they're up here, please feel free to write them down and bring them up if you have any questions. Now, we all see the Saudi Vision 2030 and the National Transformation Plan Program 2020, a great program and a very ambitious but yet achievable vision. What does this mean to you as students? What does the Saudi Vision 2030 mean to you as a student, please, Miss Rama? Don't be shy. Be brave. Whatever you think.
I don't know.
No, no problem. You can have a think and we'll come back. We can come back to you. Mr. Yahya. So what does the Saudi vision mean to you?
Sorry. Saudi Vision for me, it's Saudi 2030. It's basically my future right now. I'm going to be 30 at the time, and it will... So right now, there's a lot of changes happening. Most of them are really positive. I mean, one of the things I'm really excited about is what Mr. Eli talked about, the new model that he's implementing, which is really interesting for me. And I'm really excited to see it actually get implemented in all schools all over Saudi Arabia. Well, like I said, it's my future, and we don't know the future. And I am just looking forward for what's going to happen. And it means a lot to me, actually. It's my future, and afterwards it's going to be my children's future. So we'll just see. That's really all it is for me.
Yeah, that's a wonderful answer, as you could hear, a wonderful thought and opinion, as you could hear from there. And you could hear Mr. Yahya said, well, 2030, that is his future. And you and us as educators are responsible to help shape the future of the generation that's now in school and are going to be in school. Now, Miss, I'm not going to, sorry, Miss Maha, would you like to add anything?
Sorry. For 2030 vision, we believe that our country is going to be an international country. We're going to have people from all around the world that come here for various reasons, to study, to work. And I believe that the English language is going to be the connection between all of us, because we know that English language is an international language, so that's why it's very important for us. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic, thank you. Mr. Mohammed, in your classes, do you talk about the 2030 vision at all with your students, or do they talk about it with you?
To tell the truth, I think that most students didn't know, about too much information about 230. But anyway, the conclusion of 2030 is to having a very excellent students in English and in every subject, I think. It depends on the students, their passion, and also some of them are interested in that because they think that English is very important for them in the university and many other fields, and also for jobs. But I just have that to say right now. I can't say more. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Okay, now for the students, we've obviously heard that you are all very motivated. But in your other subjects, do you do a lot of homework? Is it even the amount of homework that you do between science, math, Arabic, Islamic, and English? How much homework do you do, and is the percentage the same? Okay, we'll start with you, Mr. Ahmed.
Right, so, what, is that me or Maha?
Sorry?
Right,
Yeah,
so
how much homework do you do in all your subjects in comparison to English?
It does depend from a class to another, In some classes we do much more, some classes we do much less. That's it.
Yeah. No problem.
No problem at all.
Ms. Rama, approximately how much homework?
We have a lot.
You have a lot? Look at them.
We have a lot, homeworks.
1 hour a night, 2 hours, 3 hours?
Sorry?
How many hours per day?
Do homeworks, you mean?
Yes, yeah.
1 hour, 2 hours.
Fantastic. Okay, and Miss Maha?
So sorry. To be real with you, I believe if you want to be an excellent student, you have to put more work. If you want to be special in your class, you have to put also more effort. So I believe that yes, we do a lot of homework, and for me, maybe 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours?
Yes.
Yep.
And that's only doing homework. I mean, they're studying. That's something else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Yeah.
First of all, you can't just depend on English when you're doing homework. So basically, you have to live up to your name to be you want to be an excellent student at all the subjects. So when you study for other subjects, you have to give it as much time. Not really as much time. So with normal homeworks of other subjects like math, chemistry, mostly the science subjects, I will give it almost an hour, almost a day, almost right after I come back from school, so I can just be done with them and be free for the rest of the day. Most of the time I get help from my friends. I'm not saying I am the greatest at these subjects. I just really like the help I get from my friends, because getting help is really good. That's really it, 1 hour or so. So I still try my best at these other subjects, and yeah, that's really it.
What's your favorite subject in school?
Well, my favorite subject obviously is English, but
no, after English, not English.
Secondary, yeah, I'm going to say a secondary. It's got to be biology. I really love biology.
Okay, and what do you plan on doing when you finish high school?
What do you got to have? right now, I don't really have a plan currently, but hopefully later I'll figure it out myself.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Mr. Ahmed? Approximately how much homework do you do per night? Ahmed.
What was the question?
Approximately how much homework do you do each night?
All right. Again, that depends on what subject it is. If it's something like chemistry, it'll probably take a long time because I'll have to research, have to Google it, and maybe sometimes I'll use some help from classmates.
Yeah.
A lot of times, actually.
A lot of time. What are your future goals and what do you plan on doing?
Oh, that's a difficult question, but I'd love to be a lawyer someday.
You'd like to be a lawyer?
I would love to be, yeah.
Fantastic. I'm sure you will make a wonderful lawyer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, we've got a question from the audience here. This teacher has said, I am really proud to have such kinds of students here in the great kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And the question is, and the hope is, how do you motivate your friends to be like you and mastering the English language? So how do you help motivate your friends? Okay. Mr. Yahya, do you want to go first? I can see you holding the microphone.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was just holding it.
Excellent, thank you.
So, motivate my friend. Well, also, it also depends on like if they have. Okay, first of all, there's two kinds of your friends. If you have the same interest, like you see, I love video games. He loves video games as well. He would love to be as good as me at communicating with teammates and all that, or navigating the menus. So he will be like inspired. He will find me as an inspiration or in some way. So he will still want to learn the language as much as me. So he will have more motivation. Now he's motivated to be like me. That is if he has the same interest as me. If he doesn't have the same interest as me, it's really a tricky question because it depends on my friendship with this person. So maybe if this person wants a higher education, he wants to go to college, wants to study outside or some way like that, he will look up to me and he would actually ask for help from me. And because I have friends like that, who would ask me for help. I mean, they're not really interested in the language itself, but they want higher education. So he is motivated to learn the language, and he is actually trying his best, and I really love helping him.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Now, yeah, Ms. Maha.
We do projects in school. So let's say me and Rana, alhamdulillah, are good students. So what we do is we try to, like, we know our classmates, we know what they're good at and what they need to put more work into. So we try to motivate them and give them the chance to express themselves and do the thing that they're good at. We cannot pressure them or make them do something that is hard on them or that will make them nervous. So everyone should have or should do the thing that they're good at, and classmates should motivate each other,
Yeah, excellent. Classmates motivating classmates. Now, Ms. Rama, how do you motivate your friends, or how can you help your friends?
I agree with Ma.
Excellent. I do too. Okay. Mr. Ahmed, do you have anything to add?
Well, as they both said, it does depend on their interests. I follow a guy on Twitter, and he learned Spanish only because he wanted to translate news of his football club, Real Madrid. So it does depend on his interests. As well as they had said, looking up to your classmate. I remember when I was in, I think, middle school. I wasn't as good as they. I wasn't good at all. I was absolutely terrible. And he was great. So sure thing, mate. I'd look up to him, and he was a great help, So looking up to a classmate is a great help, and it does depend on his interest.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, hold on. Okay.
Sir Brandon?
Yeah, yeah.
I saw Eli. He wants to ask a question.
Yes? No, sorry, I just had to look. Yeah, just 2 minutes. Okay, well, you've got that, Mr. Yeah. How does the student's environment affect their learning?
Environment? What do you mean by environment?
It's up to you. You can interpret that, whether it be home life or the classroom. We can look at the classroom. How does the actual classroom set up?
Okay, in the classroom, first of all, let's just look at the students. If the students' levels are like high, they're looking forward to find like a better careers and stuff. The environment will affect him a lot because these students want a better education. They learn English and they try their best. Like even if they are not good, they still try their best at it. If the class is mixed, I mean, if it depends on his friends, and that way it depends on his friends. Is he friending students who really don't care about English or education at all, like the bad students and stuff? I don't think he'll be motivated enough, that's like he's not motivated by his friends, now it's depending on the teacher if he's going to motivate him. But let's get back to the subject. In the environment now at home, well, it depends on his family members. Like if this student doesn't speak English or learn English at all, maybe his father, his brother knows English, and he has good relations with his father, his brother, like that. So he would just listen to him almost every day because it's his family member. So he would be with him every day. He would catch words. Actually, my brothers, they catch a lot of words from me. I mean, my brother, Yasser, he speaks like he's almost as good as me because I'm always around him. And he catches a lot of words. When I play with my friends, he hears me. He'll learn a lot. He can actually speak with them at this point, actually.
How old is he?
He's 15 years old.
15,
yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, Miss Maha. When you first started learning English, what was the most difficult thing and how did you overcome that difficulty?
So as I said, I started learning English by watching YouTube videos, and most of the people that I watched were native speakers. So when I first started listening to them, I really didn't know what they were saying. I didn't catch the words, but I pushed myself forward and I got to watch more and more videos, listen more. And so let's say I'm watching a video now, and there's this girl that is talking about her, let's say, room. So maybe she will point at something. I will know the name of that something just by her pointing at it. So you just need to watch more if you're going to watch videos, or listen more. You just have to push yourself forward to do more and more. That's how I overcome.
Fantastic. We like that. You have to push yourself more and more.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed, one final question, sir, that I've got from the audience here. Do you, and if you do, how do you manage to present all 4 skills of the language within 45 minutes?
Again, please.
Now, how do you manage to present all 4 skills of the language in 45-minute classes?
Prevent all faults?
Sorry, sir?
All skills, okay. I think, to be honest with you, we have a problem in our schools, really, especially in writing. Because many students, they are using, for example, these devices. And the skill to write, I mean on paper, to use a pen, and something like that, really this is my dilemma in my school. And to overcome or to treat like this weakness in my students, I just give them a small booklet in calligraphy to teach them how to draw the letter in a perfect way by steps, and for speaking or reading and so on, we are using technology in solving this problem, and the data show also some active box, and this will help great in this domain. And really, it is very rare to make some students read or something like that, because You know, for example, I'm doing also in conversation a role play, and I'm making my students to stand in front of their classmates, and without, sorry, it is, they can hold their books in there and they can read, but I ask them to be excited in delivering their speech, and 4 skills in a 45 minutes really is a very difficult task, to tell the truth. That's my opinion. But you should, what you can achieve, all you should achieve at least two skills like that. That's what I have.
Fantastic. So we can be flexible. Okay, this morning at this part of the panel, we've heard from one very motivated teacher and 4 very motivated and talented students. We hope that you have been able to learn from these students some of the things that they do that maybe you can use to motivate your students, some of the ways that you can use as teachers, use your higher level students to benefit your other students, particularly in the mixed level classes and the bigger classes. We would like to thank these 4 extremely talented and motivated students, Ms. Rama and Ms. Maha from Riyadh, and Mr. Ahmed and Mr. Yahya from Jazan. We thank you for everything.
A short announcement. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you very much.
Is that it, or do we do the next one?
No, now we're doing the next one.
So I'll just wait
Yeah,
here.
but okay. Short announcement about venue change. The next feature is the talk show, where you get to interact with questions with the speakers here. But at 10:45, when we go for the coffee break, and then for the next set of workshops, we're going to have this change in venue. Our featured speaker, Dr. Hind, will present in room B. And room B workshop has been moved to the meeting room number 12 near the CEL office. So you go across the courtyard, and you turn left. So when you step out from into the courtyard, you turn left. Where the CEL office is, there is a meeting room before it, opposite it, number 12. There will be ushers and guides to help you get there, okay? So room B will be in the meeting room in front of the CEL office, and Dr. Hind Utaibi will present in room B because we have to vacate the auditorium. They've got some work to do. We're sorry, and we apologize for the inconvenience. So for the next part right now, help me. What happened to the papers? We have our talk show right now. How about, the topic is learning roles flipped into the future. So you are all welcome to come up with questions for the participants that we'll ask. Please welcome to our stage the moderator, Mr. Brandon Mitchell again. Mr. Brandon, I'll leave you to introduce the speakers for today and ask them to come up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eli. Here you are, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, we've got Mr. Muhammad who's going to stay on and join us. We greatly appreciate your contribution, sir.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to invite Dr. Banda, please, sir. Do we clap you? And Dr. Hind, please, ma'am.
Mr. Mahmoud will have the mic for in case of
some of them, ask them to write the questions so I can see what they are.
Okay.
Because otherwise we get a problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Now, Dr. Banda, where are you a supervisor, sir?
Beg your pardon?
Whereabouts are you a supervisor? In Riyadh?
In Jeddah, yeah.
In Jeddah?
Yes.
Fantastic. And Dr. Hind, where are you from?
I'm an associate professor at King Saud University College of Languages and Translation.
Fantastic. So we can see here we've got a teacher, we've got a supervisor, and we've got someone from higher education. Now, we have just heard from 4 very bright and motivated students. Now, in your opinion, Dr. Banda, as a supervisor, do you think students, particularly at secondary level, have the understanding that English can help them not only enter university, but also increase and improve their job opportunities?
First of all, thank you for this golden opportunity. Students are different levels, you know. Students have different levels, actually, different proficiencies. Because of the individual differences, some students have a very good personality and aptitude to learn English and to over the difficulties they encounter while learning English. Those kind of students are normally more motivated, and they have this kind of competence so that they can overcome the difficulties and can face the challenges better than those who are low motivated.
How can we help motivate them?
This is the reality. Let me talk about the reality. The school leavers or students at high school in general, their levels are not up to the standards. Their English language level, the majority of the students are not up to the standard of the university level. So if they graduate from high school and they want to enter, for example, college, in study in Faculty of Sciences, they will face a lot of problems because of the language barrier. They could be good at sciences, but they have a big problem, which is prior to sciences, which is English. So when they go to university, they will face a linguistic problem rather than knowledge problem.
Excellent, thank you. How can we help motivate students, though, to overcome that perhaps linguistic problem?
Okay, how do you motivate students? Let me talk about the concept of motivation. And we talk about concept of motivation from the theory part, or from the theory perspective. So we're talking about Zoltan Journey, those leaders in motivation, Rod Ellis, and let's say Gardner and Lambert. How they define motivation as a concept? Well, motivation is not just desire, it's desire and effort. Students, when it comes to motivation, are totally different in terms of the target. Some students learn English because it's like an instrument for them. Instrumental motivation drives students, or students learn English because they want to get a better job or enter university, for example, or hold a position in the society. This is like an external motivation. This is not the student's desire, actually. Integrative motivation is another kind of motivation that students normally want to integrate. They have that kind of, they want to communicate with the first language. It's like native speakers in the community of the first language. They want, for example, in English, they want to talk to English native speakers.
Excellent.
Another kind of motivation, which is very important, and this is what we are looking for, is the intrinsic motivation. Students, if they are instrumentally motivated, they will have like, they will follow the assessment. They get, for example, 9 in IELTS, let's say, high scores, straight scores, but still, this is not their desire. Again, they have to be intrinsically intrinsically motivated. If they have that kind of passion, if they are fired with enthusiasm from within, they can awaken that giant in themselves. Otherwise, leading the students to learn English, it's a challenging, daunting, and very difficult task.
Okay.
It should be from the students themselves.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor. We can see there's a range of different motivational strategies that can be applied, which come from both external and internal factors. But as Dr. Bander said, if the student doesn't have it within inside them, it can be difficult. Now, Dr. Hind, in the university sector, Doctor, do students, particularly at secondary level, have the understanding that English proficiency can help them enter university and improve their career options?
I think nowadays, currently, students are aware, but we need to raise this awareness. We need to teach the students the importance to express yourself in another language and to use the language and in relevant tasks. I think what we heard from the inspiring examples, our students, showed us that to be able to learn the language is to be able to communicate with that language and to use it. It's not about exams and scores. It's about using the language to express your own ideas. And what we need as educators is to encourage this. Encourage the students to engage in relevant tasks, not exam-like tasks, not scores. It's not about scores. We need to engage them in something that they're really interested in, like watching movies, why not? Reading a sports blog, communicating with native speakers through interaction software like Tandem or Hello Talk. These kind of things will increase their ability to express themselves and to see how language is actually used in real life, not in classroom. We need to move the use of language beyond the classroom and beyond the textbook. This is what I think.
What year do you teach at the university? First year, second year?
I don't teach language. I teach computer applications and translation. So I teach translation students.
Okay, what's the level of English like when they enter your class?
Many of our colleagues suffer, actually. Most of the students who enter college, especially in our college, language and translation, they have low level of English. Despite the motivation, they entered English language department, but they still have low levels of proficiency, which is a shame.
Yeah, similar to what we talked about yesterday with the panel, how can the gap or the bridge be closed between what's coming out of high school and what the university expectations are?
We need to research-driven approaches. We need to bridge the gap between educators and researchers. We need to see what does the research actually say about how our students are learning the language and how they are using it. What are the different strategies to improve their language acquisition? This is what we need.
I think Mr. Muhammad provided us with some of his strategies and his high levels of motivation as an educator earlier on, and I'm sure many people can learn from what he has had to say. Now, just quickly, yesterday there was a teacher from Jeddah who spoke to myself and a couple of other people. She said not all students are focused and are going to go to university, but they are going to need English if they're going to enter the job market or perhaps vocational education and training. So we need to be very conscious of that as well, and I thank that teacher for making that comment yesterday. Now, Mr. Mohammed, sir, to you, are all your students highly motivated?
Absolutely not.
Now, what could be stopping their motivation, or what could be not making them that motivated to study, whether it be English or another subject?
Okay, I'm talking about many various reasons. One of them, the overloaded subjects that they have. You are talking about an Arabic country and also religious one. So it is normal to have more classes in their school, and they have many periods about that. Each students give them homework. Each teacher will give them a homework and maybe an extra job outside, like research, something like that. I think they are very overloaded. That's one. And the second one, most of students, they have, they are shy. They are shy to talk or to just try to speak with others. And also, we have, in fact, you are followed by, our system here in Saudi Arabia, especially in education. The supervisor will come after you, and he will ask you, where did you reach? Or something like that, in the curriculum, I mean. And the students, they are very busy with, for example, many exams, especially those on third secondary. They have qiyas, they have tahsili, and so on. I think they are very busy, and also they don't have the passion to continue learning English outside school, especially few students who, for example, are fond of gaming, or those who are also like to chat lively with other countries, something like that. So I think it depends in the media the student is using and his awareness of the importance of English.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Now, Mr. Mohammed, along with a range of other things, he mentioned something about the system here. So, Dr. Banda, sir, does the system or the practices of teaching and learning of English need to change to make it more effective or perhaps attractive for students and motivating?
Well, this question is about a learning context. It's very important to know the differences between English as a first language, English as a foreign language, English as a second language. In Saudi Arabia, English is dealt with as a foreign language, whereas it's like a school subject. It's inside the school. Outside the school, there's what we call lack of exposure to English. So they don't find, there is a limitation of using English outside school. So learning environment is very, very important for students. If the students don't have that kind of learning environment that normally encourage them to speak, they will come up with a lack of linguistic competence. So students need a lot of exposure to English. Need a lot of motivation to learn. Need let's say natural setting is very important. The classroom setting is like non-realistic setting for language. There's a difference between English as a language, English as a school subject. In Saudi Arabia, we have to make that kind of shift from English as a school subject, which is normally certain conversation or dialogue tasks for the students to practice, and English as an authentic language. Students graduated from high school, I'm talking about the majority, those students coming here and talking, they are brilliant and they are great examples, but unfortunately they do not represent the whole population of students in Saudi Arabia. So students need, in order to cope with English, they need to find a learning environment which is authentic and very, let's say, conducive to them.
Well, how can that be changed within the classroom setting?
Well, we start.
What are some of your ideas, practical ideas?
Practical ideas, we start actually from the, let's start from the teacher. The teacher competence in the process of learning and teaching is very important. If the teacher is competent and there is a strong relationship between students and teacher, the students like their teacher. They view English as an interesting subject and language at the same time. They will feel that they want to learn English. They wait for the class. But if the students feel that English is boring in the classroom, they will read English, they will study English, but for the purpose of passing. They have a passing mark, like 50 marks. They want to pass them, and that's it.
Yes, excellent. And that was what Mr. Mohammed said about some of the things that he does in his class. He knows his students. He engages his students. Now,
may I add something?
Yeah, sure. I was going to ask you, Dr. Hind.
Yeah, I think I'd like to elaborate. I agree with Dr. Bender. We need to rethink our curriculums. We need to rethink our teachers training, teacher preparation programs. We need to integrate more technology into the classroom. We need to take into account students' needs, their interests. We need to engage them in meaningful tasks. We need to discard or move away from the disposable assignments that students work hard for 30 minutes or an hour, and then the teacher will grade in 10 minutes, and then they throw them away. We need to think of open assignments that students do for the world to see. A YouTube channel where they can create something that is useful while practicing the language. We need to rethink all these elements in order to enhance our English language teaching.
Excellent, thank you.
Is it possible I add something more?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, as far as curriculum is concerned, it's very important to shift the curriculum from grammar-based curriculum into a communicative curriculum. Now, our purpose of English is not to produce grammarians. Our purpose of English is not to have students with very high accuracy. It's fluency. It should be there. We have to encourage students to have more fluency. At least if it's not more fluency, we have to encourage the teachers to make at least a balance between fluency and accuracy. But more accuracy, now most of our teachers are like, they are grammarians. If you ask them about any grammatical point, they can elaborate and explain it 100%. But when even the students like grammar more than anything else. Well, grammar is very important, but it's not a skill. Vocabulary is more as a sub-skill. Vocabulary is more important than grammar. But again, listening is missed. There's a lack or absolutely absence of listening part or skill in the school, in the classrooms, language classrooms. Speaking, again, is the same thing. Listening is the mother of speaking. Reading is the mother of writing. So if students, ask any student how much time you listen to English, how much time you read in Arabic, let alone English. And that will, if students can answer, if the students, for example, can say, I listen 2 hours, that means he will develop his linguistic ability, especially the spoken ability.
Sure, but we heard yesterday, and I think it was Ms. Khadija said, that teachers are also have the pressure, and maybe it's just through routine or perhaps expectation, whether it be the school leadership or the ministry leadership, to be able to complete the text.
Yeah.
Where is the text? Have you completed the text? Absolutely. Teacher, this is why I got a low mark, because I can speak, but I didn't do well on the test. So it's that issue and that balance that I think needs to be addressed, as you said, through perhaps some alterations to certain aspects there. Now, some of you commented on technology, both Dr. Hind and Dr. Banda. And Mr. Mohammed, sir, do you use a lot of technology in your classes?
For sure, I'm using this technology in all my classes.
Examples, sir.
For example, we have active books, for example, like our curriculum. In this active book, you will listen to native speakers, and also the students can make a kind of participation in the class, and you will show them their answers if they are correct or they had mistakes, something like that. And also, I have talked before that I use many applications, mobile applications, for example, either from the Google Store or App Store, Google Play or App Store. And I think, to sum up, technology is very important, but we shouldn't depend on technology itself. Okay? Yeah. We have to share many other ways. Okay? So, is it for just to something arouse here, is it better to let the student listen to the active book, or to bring, for example, a native speaker in front of him, and this is a kind of e-learning or face-to-face learning? I think face-to-face learning, it will be something more effective in this kind of learning. Okay? And maybe I have to add something about what my brother said here about grammar, and that most of students know grammars. That's really, as Chomsky said, that in lab, that each child has a majority of grammar, but he has just less vocabs or something like that. So I think our job in school is to make students know grammar, and they know that, okay? And they have to use the vocabs, for example, the vocabularies, in their outside school, as much as they practice English outside with their classmates, or other in the hospital or something like that. I think this motivation will be arising. That's what I think.
Excellent, thank you. So a balance between the technology and the face-to-face. Dr. Hind, in the university environment, you can also comment on the school environment. Yeah, should technology be more integrated into the classroom?
Definitely, it should, definitely. I'm passionate about technology, but I know that technology is only a catalyst. Pedagogy is the real driver here. Technology is part of our daily lives now. It's part of our students' daily life. It's embedded in our lives. And it offers this huge opportunity for ubiquitous learning anywhere, anytime. What we need to focus on is choosing the right resources, because there are a lot of resources for our students, and it's a daunting job to find the suitable app or the suitable website. So it's part of the literacy, of this century literacy, to teach the students where to go, which resources they should use, and why. Yes, definitely, integrating technology is a must.
Are you able to provide us with a couple of examples of any resources or websites you recommend?
I actually presenting a workshop on mobile learning and teaching. So I hope you're all invited to attend.
Yes, you are at 12 o'clock. It was going to be
in room B.
It was room B, yes?
Yeah.
So if you want to learn more about mobile and integrating technology into the classroom, go along and have a listen to Dr. Hind at 11:45. Now, Dr. Banda, you see and visit a lot of classrooms.
Sure.
Yes, do you see differences in those classrooms on the amount of technology used?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you see? Do you see as one way being more effective, as heavily influenced by technology, or a way that's heavily concentrated on teacher without the technology? What are your thoughts?
Well, technology nowadays is like a lifestyle. You cannot, I feel it's, students are online students now. They are connected to the internet, they are connected with technology. But it's very important to know that technology cannot replace a teacher. Technology, for example, is like a medium that helps teacher to present the lesson. It's like a means to facilitate the lesson, but does not replace the teacher. The usage of technology or the implementation of technology differs from one teacher to another. There are teachers who are with the technology, they use it in the classroom, and others, which I think is like a 50%, if this statistic is true, they are against technology because they like the traditional way of teaching, which is like lecturing and which is totally teacher-centered approach. But what's very important is that, well, who prepares that technology? If it's like a PowerPoint presentation, who prepares it? A teacher? I think it's very useful if the students prepare that kind of PowerPoint presentation. If I ask as a teacher, if I ask students to prepare a presentation and help them as a leader in the classroom, that will inspire the students more than just I prepare everything for the students. I give them the tasks, I give them the activities, the lesson, I check their homework, I give them marks. So what is the benefit to the students? Where is the role of the students? The students should share at least 75% of the lesson. Nowadays, I'm sorry to say that, I'm an English supervisor, I visit a lot of schools, a lot of teachers, and I can say the lion's share is for the teacher. It's still a traditional teacher-centered approach. It's like a pizza, I think of it. Just a quarter for the teacher and 3/4 for the students. They should be there in like an active learning strategy. They should be, even students who are reluctant, they should share. They should take their share from that big pizza.
Oh, I like pizza.
So do I.
So do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Can I add something?
I'll just hold on. I'll just say something quickly, so we can hear. Dr. Banda said there, if you're going to use some technology in the classroom, perhaps an idea is to get the students to create it, to use it, to take ownership of it, and that can also contribute to student motivation, active learning, and it also contributes to some of the other goals of vertical and horizontal integration through the curricula. So have a think about that, people. That was an excellent idea. Have the students prepare, use the technology and present it, which will further increase the percentage of your classes which are student-centered and engaged. Okay, Dr. Hind, you'd like to add something?
Yes, sometimes it seems hard to arrange meaningful and engaging tasks with the huge curriculum, the pressure to finish the textbook, but we still have some strategies to help us to do that. Like, for example, flipped classroom. You can record your lecture and then spend more time during class. Send the lecture to the students and spend more time during class working on project. I heard some of the guest students talking about a TED presentation or designing a poster. These kind of tasks are meaningful, they are relevant, they are what are expected of students to do in real life when they get to the job market. This is what we really need to teach our students, using the language but in a meaningful task under the supervision of the teacher. So if you don't have time as a teacher, you can use the flipped classroom approach, record the lecture, send it to the students, and make time during class to work with students collaboratively. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yes, the flipped classroom, get the students to do the work before they come so you can focus on the production side of the lesson and get the students engaged. Also, perhaps look at videoing the classes, as was mentioned there, and make them available for students. And as Dr. Hind said there, preparing the students to get a job, which leads us on to the Saudi Vision 2030. Now, one of the students said this morning, Mr. Yeah, he said, that when 2030 comes around, he's going to be 30 years old. Okay, so it's his time now, and he is the future. And I'm sure you've got a great future in this wonderful country if someone like him is the future, you know. Now, so a 10-year-old today will be entering the workforce also in 2030. What do we need to do, and possibly what does the education system need to do to support the needs of these students and this great nation? Dr. Banda, sir, or Mr. Muhammad, who would like to answer first?
Okay, well, if we examine the Vision 2030, we look at it from locality to internationality. To be an international student is like not to teach, to learn English as a target. Many students, many learners learn English as a target. They want to learn English for the language itself. But I want them to learn English as a means of translation. It's like a medium that transfer them to the internationality. I mean, they have to think that the international or the global status of English is like a big hall. They have the key. If they have English, they have the key to open that door of the auditorium or hall. Those who do not have English will face a challenge to enter that kind of the internationality area. It's very important to tell the students, I want you to be a doctor who speaks English very well. I want you to be an engineer who speaks English very well. I want you to be an astronaut who speaks English very well, and so on. So you encourage them. We have to encourage the students to speak English, not to make the English as a target in itself. It's English as a language is not just passing tests. You are representing a country. Now, if you are, I give you a very short situation that happened with me last week. We have many students normally design robots, and they are presenting a show in Arabic. So I tell them, is it possible to explain what's going on? Is it possible to demonstrate this kind of technology in English? No one, I mean, they fail to express their thing that they are doing, I mean, their products. So if they are preparing robots for an international, let's say, matches, or to represent a country, and they cannot speak English, here is the language barrier, which is supposed to be tackled with, and was supposed to be put under consideration, and we help them to learn. Actually, we help them to learn to express themselves. Many of our students are very smart. They have patent of inventions. We have a lot of smart students and intelligent students, but the problem is that when it comes to the international level, they cannot express themselves. So what is the problem? English is not a problem in itself. I think the learning strategies, the teaching strategies, the curriculum itself, the student's personality, the student intelligence, the motivation, whether students are motivated or not, the student's aptitude, all these factors are like a psychological factor. These are not linguistic factors. These are not about English itself. These are a psychological factor that influence the learning process.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor. As you can see there are a number of challenges that Dr. Banda has suggested, but one thing that he did say, he said we can provide the students with the key. It's up to them to open the door and for us to help them, to enable them to reach their goals. And as you can see about the explanation with the robots, I'm sure the Centre for English Languages, MLD, Learning by Design system, will further encourage that type of explanation. Dr. Hind, I know we've just got about 1 minute left. Would you like to add anything quickly?
Yes, I think we as educators, we need to prepare our students to be part of this vision by fostering the 5 C skills: creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication. This is our responsibility. We are responsible for the future of the generation. I have a daughter, she's now 10, and I always tell her, think big, work hard, and enjoy what you're doing. And this is what we should do with our students.
Excellent, thank you. And on that note, I know that people are getting hungry. I'd like to really thank Dr. Hind, Dr. Banda, and Mr. Muhammad, and the 4 wonderful students from the two gentlemen from Jazan. I know that you're battling difficult circumstances there, and the two ladies from Jeddah. And I hope you as participants have been given some things to think about that can help you in your classroom and ultimately help your students. And I'm sure that you will have the opportunity to engage with the Centre for English Language and their wonderful MLD system, along with many other things that they have planned and organised for this great nation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Ellie?
All right, we have half an hour break right now for coffee and something to eat. At 11:15, we will resume with the workshops. Remember, room A, B, C, D, and the auditorium has been shifted to room B, and room A has been shifted to the meeting room in front of our offices. In case you cannot find a place, please ask. Go get some coffee. Come on, come on, come on. Thank you very much.